Brown, the ball across, there's Bailey.
Won the game. 3 points is the most important. We didn't get much luck against Guatemala in the last game, and we got a bit of luck towards the end of this game.
So first of all, I just want to start off by saying they got the 3 points. They got the job done. We're still alive in the Gold Cup. But a performance is one of Jamaica's worst victory I've seen in some time. But alright, let me just not waste no more time and quickly run through this review of Jamaica versus Guadeloupe. And of course, we have to start with the starting lineup as usual. Coach Steve McLaren made 2 changes to his team that lost against Guatemala. One of them had to be who would play the number 6 role, and it was actually Latibaudiere that ended up got the nod in that spot. In the preview, I didn't have him at all in the starting 11. I just felt like, he would have been wasted against the opposition like this. But of course, looking at the hindsight and the performance that we got on the night, it was probably our only real option in the middle of the park. But a real big surprise though was the inclusion of Dwayne Busy Atkinson to play the advanced 10 position. Cephas was given a rest, so Gray goes back to his more familiar left wing position. But this was always going to be a must-win game. The Jamaicans really had to be on the front foot, and for the first 5 minutes of the match, they practically started that way. It was a good start by the Reggae Boyz, honestly. Almost even get the early goal within the first 2 minutes of the match. It seemed the players knew the mission on hand. It seemed that they were hungry for the 3 points, and I felt if they just kept on building on that momentum, I just felt that a victory was eventually on its way. But then I have to give credit to Guadeloupe. By roughly the 12th minute of the game, they finally started to settle in, started to get their passing going, and they were looking real sharp on the ball. They were definitely attacking our fullbacks, who for majority of this match was left at sea, as the likes of Gray and Barely hardly come back to give them any help, and Latibaudiere was struggling to provide any real shield. At one point, they had us pinned back in our own half for roughly 5 to 10 minutes under some real sustained pressure as we struggled mightily to keep the ball or play through their pressing, which seemed kind of familiar to the game we had against Guatemala. It felt many times that we're just able to hang on in those dire situations, not allowing the goal to come, until some really sloppy work at the back by first Amari Bell to give up the corner, and then after that entire team fell asleep and this slow to react to allow the Frenchmen to get their goal in the 30th minute. And while he can blame the entire back line to not being more alert, I still felt that Latibaudiere should have been a bit more switched on to the alerted danger in the box. So now, surprisingly, we are now 1-0 down, and the one credit I will give the Reggae Boyz, they didn't look too perturbed about that. I was now looking for a quick response to get back in the game as soon as possible. The only problem here, once again, is that we're just so slow on the ball once we have the possession. Is that if we are 11 men who have never played together at all, as a team is lack any cohesion going forward, and to allow Guadeloupe to find themselves in a defensive shape pretty quickly to defend their box. We spent many of the first half looking for answers, and as usual, it was more up to individual brilliance to really get us back into the game. In a rare moment of Busyness being calm on the ball and looking to break the lines, he found Warner Brown at the top of the box, who did well to shield up the ball, who find an Mark Bailey to get us back into the game and give us a sign of hope. Because up until that point, things were looking a bit dicey for the Reggae Boyz. And then towards the end of the half, we still had the majority of the possession and we started to come up to have chances. And when Gray got this ball out here wide and swinging a decent ball, Jonathan Russell, who finally was allowed to get himself into the box for once, was able to get on the end of it and nodded home for girls to lead. 2-1 right before half time, and at this point, I felt it was going to allow us to set our nerves down and start playing some good football in the second half. What we actually got was something much worse. Steve McLaren made 2 key changes at the halftime break. Busy was out and Cephas was back in, but Gray was also replaced by Kerry Anderson, which saw Russell push up to the advanced 10 role. And in theory, I get what the coach was trying to do. The Guadeloupe team up to this point was pressing well and was causing us trouble in possession, so he brought on Anderson to try help get more onto the ball and try control the tempo of the game in Jamaica's favour, while Cephas was now on the field to use his raw pace when we decided to go over the top and beat the press. But we didn't see much of that in the second half at all. After a bright start by Anderson, he quickly faded in that second half. I didn't see much on the ball, and in fact, he was very lucky we did not see a red card when he advanced too far and made some ill-timed challenges. And I know some of the most optimistic Reggae Boyz fans out there will be telling us we were quite comfortable for majority of that second half. It wasn't like Guadeloupe were producing a lot of chances, so we were a bit dismanaging the game out. But Guadeloupe actually was looking more and more likely to get a goal. They were keeping the ball well, they were boxing us in our own half, and their rotation up front was dragging our defenders all over the place. And then by the time the final 10 minutes of the game, their chances came quick and fast. The Reggae Boyz apparently got nervous and went more into a defensive shell just outside our 18-yard box and invited the pressure from the Frenchmen. And we were almost made to pay. Thank God Andre Blake has been on superb form so far this summer, as he had to be called into action to once again really save our blushes with 2 massive saves right at the death. We were under massive pressure and onslaught as if we were playing the French national team and not Guadeloupe instead, as we had no idea how to properly manage the scenario, as we had no proper composure or ideas how to escape the onslaught. We were quite lucky that this goal came as an offside, and after that, we were basically just hanging on for dear life against a team that doesn't even have a world rank by FIFA standards. Eventually we'd have see it out and get the 3 points, but the inquiries had to start right away. What exactly is wrong with this national team? The last match against Guatemala, we blamed the midfield, but this time, I don't think that alone is sufficient excuse. First time saying this, but maybe we really have to start questioning Coach Steve McLaren now, because once again, I am not sure what is his strategy or Jamaica's pattern of play, and the same could be said when we don't have the ball, but it just seems so sloppy and not very coordinated, as a lot of players seem to be out of position at the wrong time, and then break the shape when it matters the most. If this is how we're going to play going forward, forget about Panama and the Gold Cup. World Cup qualifying might just be out of reach. And can you imagine, just a couple of weeks ago when we saw the draw for the World Cup qualifiers, that qualification was in our future, but seeing these recent performances, especially this one, I am starting to get a bit worried. It's very interesting that the start of this summer at the Unity Cup will look much more as a team compared to the last few weeks where we look a bit disjointed. I'm not sure we're going to fix this by the time we play Panama, but we'll definitely have to fix this before September rolls around. But alright, it wasn't exactly all doom and gloom though, and I'll end this on some positive note, and that's on the play of one Leon Bailey. He was a lone player I felt out there that looked very hungry and up for the fight, and in the preview I stated that if he is really a special player, it's by time he does special things in the Jamaican shirt. And I must say, this was one of his best performances once again for the Reggae Boyz. He was very unlucky to not even get himself a hat-trick in that first half alone, and if this wonder strike went into the back of the net, it would have gone down as one of the best goals in Reggae Boyz history. Sure, he could have done a little bit better coming back and helping the defensive side of things, and people will quick to point out at Aston Villa, he does that job much better, and yeah, going forward, he faded a bit in the second half. But I would dare anyone to really look back on his performance tonight compared to the rest of the team and complain about his performance one bit. I hope he takes this confidence going forward against a much tougher opposition in Panama next week. I also want to take a special note of Warner Brown's performance. Yeah, it wasn't exactly perfect, of course, and it's never good when you're a striker playing near 80 minutes and you don't get one shot on target. But honestly, he was in the wars today. He put his body on the line for the flag. He did a lot of work in running into channels with no ball coming his way, a lot of pressing to help unsettle the Guadeloupe defense, a lot of aerial challenges where he got numerous hits to the head, and when he had one moment to really contribute, he executed well and found Bailey for that equalizer. It's just a darn shame we didn't produce enough chances for him in the box to see if he can add anything to the international goal tally. But alright guys, that's it for this review show. But that was a worrying performance and we got out of there by the skin of our teeth. But let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the Reggae Boyz performance, or are we making too much of a big deal out of this? We got the 3 points we need and we should simply just forget about it and look to the future. Otherwise, thank you all for watching, and please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you all up to date on the Reggae Boyz in the Gold Cup. Otherwise, with great Reggae Boyz content, you're already at the right place. Jump Fun. YouTube, big up yourself.